Does anybody wanna take me home? Silver screen. Yeah, these tend to mess things up. We'll just go sepia today. Feels like a sepia tone day to me. Hello. Good afternoon. How's everybody feeling today? Sup, sup, sup. Hello, hello, hello. Doing well. Thank you for asking. YouTube actually alerted you? That's crazy. It seems like it did. It seems like it was quick on the draw today. Usually it takes about a minute for people to spike in here. But here you are. Here you be today. That's good. That's good. It's a pretty day today, man. I can show you guys, look. And let me take this filter off first. Fuck these filters. Normal. And then we'll flip this around. Look at this. This beautiful day out here today. Got a nice little breeze blowing through the trees. It's not hot out here, but it's not cold. It's a good balmy spring day. They do exist in the swamp. Yeah, now there's no guarantee that this day will stay pretty. That's the thing about living down here, is that you can wake up and have a day start like this and end in, a furious thunderstorm and a flood. So, yeah. Oh yeah, Marshall. Marshall's walking down the aisle. Our very own little Marshall Manson's taking the leap, guys. Found himself a good one. He liked it, and he's putting a ring on it. Hey, you gotta give props. You gotta give props where they're due. I remember the first time I met Marshall, sitting down at the Airbnb that we all rented in LA for the LA meetup. And I was the only one that was home when Marshall, or up and around, I guess. I think TJ might have been there, but he was just off in his bedroom. But Marshall and I ended up chilling out on the back porch and getting to know each other a little bit, smoking a J. And I seem to remember him, not necessarily complaining about it, but just lamenting the fact that he didn't have a girl. I might be projecting that memory, but just, talking about the single life and all this shit. So it does my heart good to know that, a good guy like Marshall found a chick that vibes with him. You don't win friends with salad. You don't? What if it's a really fucking good salad though? Which LA meetup? The DFF one. The more recent one. Yeah, dude, if it's a bomb-ass salad, you might win my friendship. Like a good old, chicken Caesar or something like that. Like, if you can make a dank chicken Caesar salad, that's one of the keys to my heart right there. She's gonna get half his song royalties. Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's how marriage works sometimes, man. It's why it's more than just like a token expression of love between two people. The economic tie-ins and stuff that come with marriage are really what makes it a real institution. The fact that you are saying that me and this person have each other's backs, we are responsible for one another, and that our common resources are going to go to help one another. And that can be a scary thing if you don't know who you're really know who you're getting in with. But it's also what adds a little bit of weight beyond just a token gesture to the institution of marriage. Hope you didn't do a cringy in front of a bunch of people proposals, Manson. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how he did it. He didn't really reveal much about it, but I'm assuming that he didn't, because he didn't post any crazy videos of him starting a flash mob or something at the mall. I'm assuming he just asked her in a private way. That's always those super public proposals. They're pretty cringy. I always feel bad for the victim of those. Because like it's kind of a shit thing to do too, because it adds a whole lot of social pressure for that person to say yes. You know, like nobody that you're involving in the public, in your very public proposal, has any fucking clue about what goes on in your relationship or what the dynamic is, and yet you put this person on the spot in front of the judgmental eyes of, you know, the public, and they really have to risk being the one that looks like the asshole, even though it's you that pulled the asshole maneuver by making something that should have been a private conversation a public one. Yeah. Marriage is so antiquated these days, you think? Seems to be popular. Seems to still be a popular institution. I just had an interview to be a media center assistant at a middle school. Yee. Well, best of luck, I guess. That's not a job I'd want to take, but a jobby is a jobby. I want to get married someday. Hey, good for you. It's a good goal. It's a good goal. Understandable life goal. Would you rather have to watch a marathon of Dr. Phil or Dr. Oz? Probably Dr. Phil, honestly. Like, at least he makes me laugh, you know? Like, just looking at Dr. Phil kind of makes me chuckle. So if I had to choose between those two, him, Phil. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really get a whole lot of Southern charm off of Phil. I think a lot of his Southern charm is just a folksy affectation that he puts on to try and, you know, scoop up people that are, I don't really get a true Southern charm coming off of him, let's put it that way. Wow, I just got like a little news update, but I didn't have time to read it. Paul, do you think violence is a valid way to create political change? Is it a valid way? Yes, absolutely. Is it the best way? That depends on the situation. It's not something that I advocate for willy-nilly, but to deny the usefulness of violence in creating societal change, I think is just silly. That's a good point, Convo Paul. That's why the powerful use it. I have both considered and attempted suicide several times. Dr. Phil's figures of speech that aren't really figures of speech are priceless. Okay. Dr. Phil is entertaining. Yes, he is. Southern gentleman accent? What do you think I'm speaking in right now? Just what exactly do you think it is that you hear when you listen to me? Think you're hearing some Yankee? Hmm? You think you're listening to some liberal Californian? I'm of the South. You don't have to be from the South. I'm of the South. You see? And there's a gentleman's difference there. You can be from the South and not be of the South, you see? And you can be from somewhere else and have your roots here. I have my roots here. I keep my roots here in my mind. You was born in South Africa? Are you Zeph? Are you Zeph like a young Hugh Hef? 0 out of 10 Southern accent? Yeah, gotta disagree on that, buddy. If there's one accent that I'm confident that I do perfectly, it's Southern accents. So, it can be tough to distinguish between the states. A generalized Southern accent is a lot easier to do than a regional mountain Tennessee accent or whatever, you know. mean, the one I was just using is a prim and proper General Southern. The one that I'm the most comfortable with is like a colloquial General Southern. It's what I grew up speaking. This type of talk right here, you'll hear everywhere down here. This type of accent here is a general accent that you'll run into everywhere in the American South. It's one of them things that you just learn to have an ear for, and you hear it everywhere you go. This is a much more lilting way of speaking in a Southern accent. It's the way I spoke when I was growing up as a kid. It's the way my mom speaks. My dad, not so much, but his family speaks this way as well. His parents were from Missouri and Arkansas, respectively. And so there's a little bit of a twinge of those two regional accents in this one that I use. It's a very, the reason why I really like it and like having access to it is because it's a very, very like comfortable way of speaking for me. Those of you that watch me a lot, you probably hear me like stutter a little bit here and there when I speak, and a lot of that is an artifact of me working hard during my high school years to shed this accent and to come up with a more general, non-Southern accent. I still don't have a perfect lack of Southern twang to my voice, but I'm very, very much comfortable speaking this way. I kind of naturally progress into this kind of speaking when I talk to my mom, which nowadays, because we're so far apart, it happens, infrequently, so we talk for long periods of time. So over the course of about 20 minutes, I'll go from speaking the way I normally speak to y'all to talking like this. It's very easy for me to lapse in and out. And it's a very comfortable way of speaking. It flows nice to me. It flows way nicer than the hard plosive style of speaking that I usually use. So outside of your family, none of the western states have an accent, i.e. Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, etc. don't sound any different from each other. Well, I kind of disagree with that, but I agree that there's probably not a super definable regional accent to those places, but for me, like, especially Arizona, I can speak from experience on Arizona. Everybody from Arizona is from somewhere else. So you get all kinds of regional accents in Arizona. It's a transplant state for sure. There are a lot of communities who speak with a Southern twang in the West. Oh, absolutely. I grew up in one. The Central Valley of California, you'll hear people talking just like I'm talking now. You go to a gas station or whatever, order some fast food or something, you're like to hear somebody speak just like this. And you're in the center of California, you know what I mean? So, not uncommon at all. Do you think the accent is why people think Southern people are stupid? I think it plays a big role. I used to believe that was all of it. What do you want, man? You're just gonna be whining to come back in. Get it. Fuck off. That's one of the reasons why I worked so hard to shed it and come up with a new speaking pattern when I was in high school, is because I would get made fun of sometimes for the country twang that I kept. So in high school, I worked real hard to try and, shed most of that from my speech pattern. I don't really believe that it was necessary now. It was a choice that I made when I was pretty young. And looking back on it, I kind of wish I hadn't. But it is what it is. Why do American celebrities start speaking British? Do they? Sounds like the accent around here, an hour east of Columbus, Ohio, maybe a little heavier, but pretty much the same. Yeah, I heard this style of generalized Southern twang, and I've heard it everywhere I've gone. The only place I can say I didn't hear it very often was the Pacific Northwest. Around Seattle and Bellevue, you don't run into a whole lot of Southerners there, or people that were raised with that kind of Southern speech pattern are rarer there, I guess. I think that if you're going to pursue a career in entertainment, you should practice a radio accent off as you can. Well, that was another reason why I chose to kind of try and develop a more general speech pattern and stuff. I was very, very heavily into theater, and I didn't want that twang creeping into characters that it didn't belong there. I wanted to have a very, very, versatile vocal range when it came to accent. And so, that was another important part of that decision, I guess. Madonna does, and many more start the British. Oh yeah. Well, people are kind of susceptible to the area that they live in when it comes to accents too. So if you hear like an American actor putting on a British affectation, it could be that they're doing so out of pretense, and it could be that they're doing so because they spent a lot of time in England and everybody they talked to had that accent, and it naturally creeps into your speech pattern. I mean, both of those are very, very true. You do hear a more country accent in some smaller towns in the PNW, but not. Yeah. I assumed that if I spent much time outside of the major population centers in Washington, that I probably would have run into some more, generalized Southern rural accent. Final Fantasy VI or Chrono Trigger? Chrono Trigger for me. Christian Bale does a really good American. Yeah, a lot of British actors do a really passable American. Some of them don't. Some of them do a passable American that's still very, very stilted, and you can tell that they're having to modulate, But I think Christian Bale has a decent American. Transatlantic accent. I've heard it talked about, but I don't know that I've ever met somebody that had a genuine transatlantic accent, so I don't know that I'd be able to peg it. My aunt, who is originally Scottish, has lived in LA for 60 years and hasn't picked up the American accent quirks. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure she has, honestly. I'm sure that if you went and talked to her 60 years ago when she was still living in what I assume is, rural Scotland or whatever, I'm sure that her accent has softened. It may not have softened to your ears. It may still be pretty thick, but I can almost guarantee if she's been living in Los Angeles for 60 years, she's not speaking the same kind of Scottish that she was speaking 60 years ago in the homeland, you know what I mean? I personally wish people in the U.S. still spoke with the old 18th century brogue. I'm kind of glad they don't, actually. Any accents turn you on? I think like a native French speaker speaking American can sound pretty hot. That kind of accent. I really like Latin American accents. I'm just I don't know if they turn me on. I just am a fan of them. A slight brogue is slightly arousing to me. Yeah, I mean, I like it. Accents are always interesting. They don't necessarily add content to a person's character, but you want to come back out here now? You gonna be whining at the door in 15 seconds to go back in? Or are you gonna lay down out here and chew your chewy? You done? You want your chewy? Take it. This dog is fucking insane. Excuse me. I need to go get some more sweet tea. I shall return momentarily. Chewy. Get it. Get it. Get your Chewy. Stay. You're staying out here. You're staying out here and you're going to be in trouble if you keep whining. Dinor's being a dick. He's being a douche. Like he comes out here, whines at the door to go back inside. I put him inside. He sits in there and whines at the door to come back outside. He's being a douche. He's about to get a timeout. You want a timeout? Go lay down. Go find a spot and lay down and chill. You're not going back in there. It's in trouble, man. You stay. You're not going in. You stay. Stay. You've got a bed to lay in out here. You got a soft bed to lay in. Here, let's move that over here. Go over there. Go lay down on that. And Dinor, man. Being a nightmare today. Find a spot. You got Chewies out here. Everything's fucking great. I took you down, you shat, you pissed, you got nothing. There's nothing wrong in your world. I see how interesting my life is. See what I spend my personal time doing. Chasing after a neurotic dog. Acting like a D-bag. Yeah, dude, you're about to get timeouts. See, now you're chilling, but I gotta get all brolic with you to get you to chill. Wants what he can't have, just like the rest of us, yeah. What he really wants is for me to leave this door open, which sometimes in the winter I'll do because it's nice and cool out here, but I've got the AC going today, man. I'm not letting, that just ain't happening. He wants to be able to just come and go as he pleases. And he can't have it. You can't have it. You pick a spot, you chew. He is pretty goddamn cute. That's really his saving grace. It's his evolutionary, like, adaptation. Come on. It's cuteness overall is what keeps him running. Isn't it right? You tell him, Dinor. If I wasn't cute, somebody would stomp my head. Good thing I'm cute. You want it up here. You're acting like it's an imposition. Stay down. How fluffy does he get? Dude, he gets fluffy. He's a floof monster. For sure. He's about as floofy as they come. Can he do any tricks? He knows a few. He knows sit, he knows shake, he knows speak, he knows spin. He'll stand up on his back legs and spin around. He has a few tricks. Is he an incel? Yes, he is an incel. I did not see Tulsi on Rogan, no. I wouldn't trust Dinor to fend off a garter snake, much less an actual dangerous snake. I don't think he'd go near it. Dinor is just about the most spooked dog ever. Like, let me give you an example. If you took a big piece of nice chicken and threw it on the ground, 99% of dogs would immediately run to it and start devouring it. Dinor will slowly approach it, sniff it, look around, walk away, leave the room for a second, come back, give it a lick, turn around, leave the room, stay at like, he doesn't trust anything, you know? He thinks the chicken's gonna come to life and attack him. So, he's definitely a different kind of dog. All kinds of neurotic. Most of which I probably, you know, inadvertently projected onto him. My own neuroses are coming back to haunt me in the form of my dog. Sleep in your bed or his own? He sleeps with us. So he sleeps in our bed. Your pets emulate you in some ways. Yes, they do. This is the truth. And Dinor is definitely an example of that. You ever a show that you watched with your dad growing up? We used to watch Rush Limbaugh's short-lived talk show together. I don't know if that counts. But not really outside of that. My dad and I didn't really do much together in terms of like, I don't know how to explain it. We didn't have that kind of father-son relationship. At least not most of the time. I did my thing, he did his thing, and every once in a while those things would coincide, I guess. What does Dinor think of the public school system? I don't know. Why don't you ask him when he does one of his streams? I swear, every time Dinor does a stream, all you guys do is talk about how cute he is, and then you ask me all the hard questions. Ask him when he's streaming. Go lay down. Go. Get away from the door. Get away from the door. Get away from the door. Go on. Stay away from the door. Go. Go lay down. Go. Go lay down. Go. You're in trouble now. What are you doing back by the door? Get. Lay down. Go lay down. Go. Little idiot. Why do you think Dinor wants to go in and out all the time? I have no fucking clue. I have no clue what's going on in his tiny little empty fucking head. I'm about to go lock him up in the room together though, with his fucking bed and his chewies, so he can have some time out. Put him on Facebook. He's on Facebook and Instagram, man. He's got a whole fucking social media empire. You stay down. I don't want no more whining and shit. I'm not dealing with your shit today. Oh yeah, dude. Dinor is the benefactor that makes DFF possible. It's his social media money that drives this this project, you know. And he's acting like a diva right now. Acting like a total diva. Hey Paul, had to shave my beard for a job. I feel like an angel without wings. Oh man. That sucks, bro. That sucks. Go over there. Go. Go lay down. Just because I moved my arm doesn't mean you get to go over by the door and whine again. You stayed over there on your bed with your chewies. You're done. It's up my ass today, man. He has these days. Some days Dinor is like totally chill, totally cool, just hangs out, does his thing, we go on walks, we have fun, he sits with me, it's quiet. And then there are some days like this where he's just like, he wants something and there's no way for him to articulate it to me. It involves somehow being both inside and outside. I don't know. Yeah, he might. He might cancel DFF if I'm too angsty with him. Sometimes you allow Dinor to come and go by cracking the door. Why not today? Because it's hot. It's like warm enough out here that I don't want to get it this warm in my house. If it was cool out here, then I'd be fine with that. Go. Get. Go lay down. You're not sitting by the door. Go. Go on. Stay away. You stay over there. You lay down. Install a pet door. These doors are both like full. You can see them. They're glass. You can't put pet doors in those. I mean, maybe you could, but it's an apartment. I don't really think they allow you to do that kind of work. Yeah, mosquitoes and mosquito hawks and June bugs and all that crap is starting to show up out here, so I don't want that living in my house. So yeah, winter time around here, you can crack the door when it's nice and rainy outside or something. You can crack the door, but not in the spring. Yes, I have renter's insurance. You have to have renter's insurance to have an apartment in most places that I've been. Let's just put it this way. I've never rented an apartment where they didn't force you to show proof of renter's insurance before you sign it. So if you're a renter and you don't have some kind of cursory renter's insurance, you're just asking to be fucked. So yeah. You should shave your head. Why don't you shave your fucking cue ball lumpy ass head? Why's it gotta be my head? You have the desire to see a fat guy with a shaved head? Go do it. Go shave yourself. Hang anything new on the walls lately? No. No, there's really no room on my walls anymore. I guess I could decorate my whole office. That's the next thing on my agenda. That room that's really the only room left in the house that's not decorated in any way, but I'm going to be redoing that in the near future, so I guess I'll do it then. Ideas for the office. I mean, I just need a better desk, honestly. The desk that I have is good for just a computer, but I've got a soundboard and microphone arm and an effects board and all of that shit, and I just don't have the room. My desk is too small, so I need to get like some kind of a larger desk, better utility, and probably rearrange it in that room to fit the room better. Worst roommate you've ever lived with other than Dinor? Yeah, Dinor's not the worst dog roommate I've ever had. My dog Boogie was a nightmare that makes Dinor look tame. Like, Dinor's annoying, but Boogie was straight out destructive, you know. You never knew when you came home from work whether or not you were going to come home to the dog just kind of placidly laying in her bed, or whether she'd be in the midst of tearing your couch up or destroying your bed or your comforter, digging up the carpet, chewing holes in walls and shit. She was insane. What's my opinion on eating the booty? The same as my opinion on stupid memes. They get you banned. Paul, what's your favorite kind of Mountain Dew? I don't know, the liquid kind, I guess? Are you allowed to repaint the walls a different color in your apartment? I don't think so, no. I doubt that's on my lease list. If I did do something like that, I would have to pay for it to be repainted totally at the end. I feel like these Highdeologies lately have been punctuated by distractions that make me want to just end them. Right now, Dinor is once again, because I haven't paid attention to him in 5 seconds, he's pacing back and forth in front of that house, and I know I'm going to hear a whimper. And at that point, he's going to go. I'm going to take him to my office. Take your bed, take your chewies to my office, and you're going in there. Oh, I guess he's back inside now. Had enough. Oh, it's definitely the chat too. It's not all Dynor, but the chat is just one distraction. If I've got 15 other fucking distractions around me, then there's just no point. Paul beats Dynor! Dun 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 dun. How old is Dynor? I think he's 3? I'd have to ask. Yes. What? So yeah, I was right. He's 3. My guess was correct. He's 3. He was born in January. So what is 3 in dog years? Every dog year is like how many years? It's like 7 human years, right? So he's like 21. 21. That's a rowdy age, you know. He's not quite, you know, like what he's going to be when he's a full adult yet, but he's not quite a puppy anymore. He's just starting to feel out what it's like to be an adult, you know. That's true. Maybe he does need a beer. Maybe that will mellow him a little bit. Get him a beer. I think we've all related. Like, I'm not that age anymore, so I'm a little farther down the line, but I remember being 21, vaguely. And yeah, that's basically how it feels, you know, at that time. The entire world looks at you as if you're a fully established adult yet, but you don't really feel that way. I mean, at least that's the way I felt at 21. I felt like I wasn't ready to be an adult yet. Not in the same way that my parents were, you know. I wanted some time. I wanted to drink and party and smoke and have friends and, you know, spend my money frivolously. You know. That's where Dynor's at. That crazy age. I was 21. I was married and pregnant. See, a lot of people do that, dude. A lot of people hit that fast forward button. My sister was the same way. Married right out of fucking high school. Still married. You know what I mean? It just wasn't, that's not my life. I couldn't do that. I wasn't ready. A little arrested development problem, I guess. I know hangovers are preventable, but what's your worst hangover story? I don't know that I really have one. I mean, I remember one time I just had like one of those endless, nameless, pointless parties that you have where you just have your friends over to your pad and everybody brings alcohol and you just end up getting shitty for no reason. Like, it was one of those. And somebody had brought this wine, Carlo Rossi wine that we used to drink because it was cheap and it was made or bottled nearby where we lived, so it was abundant. We used to call it Apple Nasty, which is where our band name came from. Anyways, one of the people brought a big handle of that. We had some hard liquor. It's like 5 of us or whatever, and we just sat around and watched movies and shot the shit and got really wasted. And I remember just kind of like crawling upstairs and crawling into bed without doing any kind of, you know, no water, no, you know, no kind of mitigation of a hangover. And the next day, I woke up just with this splitting fucking headache, sick to my stomach, you know, just that real, just like forward nauseous feeling that you get. And I was like, oh man, hangover. And I started walking downstairs and the smell of puke hit me. Because one of my friends, as I came to find out shortly after, had just kind of laid there and puked on the ground. And so a couple of people were still passed out in the living room. There's this big puddle of fucking vomit. And when that smell hit me, I had to run upstairs and puke. So I had to turn around on my heel, run into the bathroom, puke, 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 go downstairs, get everybody woken up, have the dude that puked help me clean up his puke and get them out of my house. And then the rest of my day was basically sitting in front of my computer, sipping on a glass of ice water and trying not to puke with every swallow, and failing about half the time. That was the worst hangover I can remember having, where I literally was just vomiting all day. Like, just a sip of water would make me puke. Too much light hitting my eyes could make me puke. Standing up and sitting down. I mean, that's the true, hangover story that you want to avoid, because I never puke from drinking. Yeah, I hardly ever puke from the actual drinking. I can count on one hand the amount of times I've drank till the point where I had to throw up or something. Ever puked off of a bong hit? No, but I've seen people do it. I actually watched a guy puke into a bong once, which was interesting. I was a teenager, and bongs back then were like big ones, like stand-up bongs were hard to come by. Like, not a lot of people could afford to have them. And we had this guy come chill with us, and he had one. He had like a little 3-foot bong or something. And I'd never ripped a bong before, so I had to learn it. I'd hit pipes and stuff, so I knew the carb thing, but like the actual act of pulling a hit and then cashing a hit in a bong, I was just not familiar with. So I watched the guy do it a couple of times. I went and took a hit, and then my other friend, who was in a similar position, got up to take a hit, was hitting the bong, doing on the inhale, and just puked. And puke went into the mouth of the bong and down into the chamber. It was fucking horrible. So I've seen it happen. Probably a couple of times, people puking from smoking, but thankfully I've never. See, I like the spins from weed mixed with alcohol, but that's, there's a difference. Like, for me, getting that crossfade where you're spinning both ways at once, I like that, but there are some people that can't handle it. They get dizzy, they get sick, that sort of thing, the spins. Session's over indeed, yeah, for him. We just washed out the bong, got some boiling water, cleaned it all out, and filled it right back up and kept hitting it. Yeah, I like the spins too. It's just I don't know. Being crossfaded feels good to me. To others, it doesn't. Did you ever like the show Law and Order SVU? Yeah. Well, I don't know if I liked it. My ex-wife watched it a lot. She was big into like cop dramas and shit. And so I've watched quite a few episodes of Law and Order SVU. My favorite part was always Ice Cube. Or no, Ice-T, sorry. It's not Cube that's in that, it's T. Yeah, Ice-T was like the most miscast weirdo in that show. He'd just be like, yo, we here to serve this here warrant. Put your hands up. You got the right to remain silent up in this bitch. Anything you say can and will be used against you. It was like, what? But he was definitely what made the show worth watching, in my opinion. What do you like to listen to during a session? Depends. I'm all over the place musically, so whatever I'm in the mood for, I guess. Ice-T was the comic relief of that show. Yeah, he was really like not only that, but really the most interesting thing about the show too, in my opinion. At least from what I remember. I don't remember a whole lot of other stuff going on. There should be a cop show where all the characters are played by rappers. That would be cool. Yeah. Like a whole police department, but it's all gangsters. I'd like that. Ever since I went to school for criminal justice, I can't watch crime dramas without seeing everything they do wrong. Yeah, yeah. It's the same way with like, I guess it's technically a crime drama, but like those courtroom drama movies. Man, they're fun to watch, but boy, oh boy, do they completely misrepresent the actual, court experience. So weird that Ice Cube plays a cop so often. Does he? I guess he does. I guess Cube has played a cop a bunch of times, huh? You have any court experiences? I was on a jury once for a little over 6 months. A civil jury, so not a criminal jury technically, but a civil jury. And man, I'm telling you, dude, the whole process of court is completely misunderstood by people. What was it like? So when you watch a movie about like people going to court, everything moves fast. There's always a revelation. Like every minute has some kind of densely packed thing. But when you're actually in court, when I sat on that jury, nothing. Like it's 99% boredom and 1% testimony and actual work. The process is so slow that, at least from the perspective of a jury member, that you spend, I'd say I spent a good 80% of the time that I was impaneled on that jury sitting in the jury room waiting to be called in to the courtroom to give to hear testimony. So, the justice system is not this fast, dynamic thing that the movies portray it to be. It's a very, very slow, methodical process, punctuated with tons and tons of necessary delay. Jury duty is 99% sitting in the jury room. I don't know if I'd go with 99%, but if it's not over 85%, I'll eat my shoe, at least on my jury. Have you guys heard of the new NASA announcement? We're going to the moon. Cool. Back to the moon. Yeah, I came in with the sauce. Bitch, I flare Rick Ross. Bitch, I flare Rick Raw. Walk in the trap, rip flare. Told a bitch, Lil Pump, yeah. Ooh, damn, I just broke my wrist. 100 on my wrist, can't tell me shit. Get me on a Little Pump. Fucking terror here. Do you think the moon landing actually happened? Yes, I do. Like, ooh, exactly, Ashley, you know. Walk in the trap like a boss. Paul, do you like moon pies? Yeah, man. Who doesn't like a moon pie? I mean, they're not my favorite thing in the world, but, a bite of a moon pie is okay, I could dig a moon pie. What do you think the weirdest fetish is out there? I don't know, but the people that are like that have sex with their cars, that's a pretty weird one. Like, you ever seen any of those people? Like the people that are like attracted to their cars? They like rub up against them and sleep with them and kiss on them and stuff. I guess objectum sexuality is what they call it. That one to me would probably be something that I would consider to be the weirdest fetish out there. There's a really good like British BBC documentary about those people. They're very rare. Called "In Love with the Golden Gate Bridge," I think, that you can go watch if you're interested in hearing about that type of fetish. Ever hanged around on 4chan or similar sites? I've been there. I don't spend a whole lot of time on them. I find them to be kind of annoying to read, honestly. Meme language is almost an immediate turnoff for me. And I'll admit it's because I'm an old man, you know, or an older guy. But I just can't. I don't like the, like, be me, be walking into work, see grill, talk to grill, you know, like that whole with the fucking arrow at the, you know, the whole just like meme language is so, it's like being perpetually trapped in a 12-year-old classroom where people are passing notes and the teacher's watching, you know what I mean? So pretty much every time I end up over on 4chan, I end up leaving because I run into some popular thread that is just, from my perspective, damn near illegible. I never went through, I mean, a meme phase, you guys got to understand, when I was the age where that would have been, like, I guess, understandable for me to go through that phase, it didn't exist yet. It just wasn't. I mean, there was like early internet meme culture, but it was very, very fucking different than it was now. It was all based on like finding weird personalities, like the Numa Numa guy or, you know, the Star Wars kid. Those were the earliest memes that I remember taking hold, and there was not really a culture around them. And at least if there was, I wasn't privy to it. Yeah, the troll face shit, I was already fucking in my 20s when that started popping up. Yeah, chocolate rain. Oh yeah, you're the man now, dog. That was a meme site. Yeah, but trolling I don't consider to be an intrinsic part of meme culture. It may have been folded into meme culture, but trolling has existed since two people talked to each other for the first time. You know? The Rickroll, yeah. Old memes. The Rickroll. That's something you're genuinely scared of? It's a tough question, not because I consider myself to be a really brave person, but the word genuinely in there is what's throwing me off. There are things that I have irrational fears about, but trying to think of something that strikes genuine fear into my heart, like I genuinely fear it, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, that word genuine throws me off a little bit, because I think that there's a difference between irrational fear and genuine fear. I have a lot of irrational fears. I don't really fear war with Iran any more than I, you know, fear stepping on a Lego walking around my house barefoot, you know what I mean? Like, it sucks. I understand that there's things to be concerned about when your country is saber-rattling for yet another horribly ill-advised military misadventure in the fucking Middle East, but am I genuinely scared of it? No. I don't know. Maybe I'll think of something. It's a good question. Maybe I'll think of something that I can say I genuinely, honestly fear. For a long time, it would have been death. Death would have been an easy answer for that. And there probably still is a little bit of genuine fear surrounding death, so maybe that's the answer. But even that, in my, you know, the years that I've had to contemplate it and have brushes with it, has lost a lot of its negativity, a lot of that ill portent that comes from a lot of people when they think about themselves dying. So, have you ever had to call 911? I've called 911 a couple of times. The last time I had to call 911 was many, many years ago. And I was living in the condo that I lived in Fresno, in a pretty bad neighborhood, and some dude was literally beating the shit out of his girlfriend in the front lawn. It was like 3 in the morning. I woke up, I saw him grab her and throw her to the ground, and I dialed 911, and they came and arrested him. That was the last time that I remember having to call 911. I talked to the police, told them what I heard, told them what time it was, and all that shit. Calling 911 in the hood is always something you have to consider. You know what I mean? I'm afraid of the unknown in a sense of not knowing how it will eventually turn out, not for my own safety, but for safety of those I care about and love. You know, like for me, I mean, I'm not judging you or whatever, but for me, having genuine, honest to goodness fear about something that's completely out of your fucking hands is just a waste of your, you know, mental energy. You know what I mean? Are you afraid of guns? Not just in the context of the existence of a gun. Now, if you pulled a gun out of your pocket and I didn't know you had one and stuck it in my face, I'd probably be afraid. But just a gun. They're not things that I like to be around. Like, there's a difference in my mind between like the original question asked, genuine fear and discomfort. So if I'm around somebody that's handling a gun, even if they're doing it properly, there's a measure of discomfort for me. I don't like weapons. I don't like guns. I don't like being around them. I don't like handling them. I have an aversion to them that I don't think rises to the level of fear, like not genuine fear. What were your childhood fears? I remember I was afraid of a monster in my closet for a number of years when I was really little. Used to have recurring nightmares about a monster being in my closet and coming out to get me. Trying to think, honestly, of any others. I can't. There might have been others that I have, but whatever they are, they've faded into the background of history at this point. The stinkworm. Good, you should be afraid of guns. They're not to be handled lightly. Yeah, I mean, that I was raised in the country, so I was raised around guns, raised handling guns, raised firing guns, and it was drilled into me that guns are to be respected at all times. All times. Even an unloaded gun should be respected because that's getting you into the habit of treating every gun like it could possibly kill somebody if you handle it wrong. And that's the way that I was instilled to respect firearms, and that's the way that I still deal with them. And in fact, as an adult who doesn't have firearms, I keep myself away from them as much as I can. Now, down here in the South, that's not the easiest thing to do, but you know, I don't have people over to my house bring guns. If somebody brings a gun out at my house or something, I'd probably ask them to put it away or take it down and put it in their fucking car or something. I just don't like being around them. But I don't think that rises to the level of fear. It's more of just a respect of the tool. I have a deep and abiding respect for the destructiveness of weapons, and I don't like them to be handled. I don't find them interesting enough to want to handle one just to look at it. Do you like cats if they're the relaxed sort? I'm not cats and me I don't dislike them. I don't prefer them. I've been around cats my whole life, and they've all been pretty much the same. And there are some people that are really into that, some people that aren't. I don't hate them, but I'm not the type of guy that's ever going to go get a cat for himself. You know, if we have a cat, you can guarantee it'll be Ashley's cat. She's more of a cat lover than I am, for sure. I'm a dog person. You know, as annoying and shitty as they can be sometimes. A couple of years ago, I kept having recurring dreams where Pinhead would show up in my dreams. Cool. Those weren't dreams. Are you a handyman? No. I'm not real good with mechanical stuff. I can do it Like I've done some stuff that I consider to be pretty, technically tough. I changed the alternator in one of my old cars one time on my own. I can change a tire, you know what I mean, if I need to, those sorts of things. But when it comes to actually being able to take a piece of machinery and take it apart, fix what's wrong with it and put it back together again, I'm not your boy. Guns are boring. People just lift off random letters and numbers. I mean, whatever. I don't care. Like, there's some people that are into them. They're hobbyists or whatever. I'm not trying to stand in judgment of those people. So you asked me how I felt about them. So that's how I feel about them. Yeah, I could change the oil or, like, fix the roller on a vacuum cleaner maybe, if it got all clogged up with hair or something. But in terms of actually fixing something, I'm not your guy. Kind of weird when you repeat a word a lot, it starts to lose its meaning. Yeah, I guess. When I was a little guy, I would have recurring dream where they all ended with me drowning. Cool. That sounds fun. That sounds wonderful. What am I vaping on? That Bubblicious Grape vape. That Bubblicious Grape vape. Why do Southern people say they're going to fix something to eat as if it's broken? I don't know, but it goes a little deeper than that. Sometimes sides are called fixins. So if you have, turkey as your main centerpiece of the meal, then the stuffing and mashed potatoes and mac and cheese and stuff are all the fixins. So I don't know what the etymology of that term in the Southern lexicon is, but I like it. I say it all the time. Fix something to eat, or make us something to eat. There you go. Or I'm fixing to do this. Yeah, that's another way of using it too. You got a point there. Fix me up a pepperoni roll, hun. Fix me up some Totino's pizza rolls, baby. Have you heard of the LGBT sandwich? Lettuce, guacamole, bacon, and tomato. Yeah, we call that a BLTA in California, and they've been around forever, and they're really good. I used to be afraid bombs would fall out of the sky and kill everyone. Yeah. I'm fixing to get more fixins. Yeah, you could say that. That has probably been spoken unironically 1,000 times within a 100-mile radius of me. You currently reading any books? No. I'm currently not reading a book. What's your favorite gender? I like, I don't know. There's so many. There's so many crazy ones to choose from. I don't know, dude. Foxkin. A foxkin. Would you ever become an otherkin? No. No. You write a book for me to buy. Why I gotta handle every part of your entertainment life? Your reading life, your watching life, your listening life, your viewing life. I gotta be all that? You write a book for me to buy. How about that? How about you give a little back? Someone who moved from the Northeast to the Southeast, I was triggered horribly by being told I was fussing. What are you fussing about in here? What are y'all fussing about now? Y'all better dry it up, split up, go your separate ways. I don't want to hear that fussing in here. Give me a holler, yeah. If you want to, give me a holler. I'll be around. You need anything, you just give me a holler. No need to be fussing about it alone. Just give me a holler, I'll help you out. Well. Whoa. Delicious sweet tea. Your salty pen shines nicely, yes. My beverages are noisy, sorry. There's ice in them, man. What am I supposed to do? Sounds like a plan, yeah. I guess that's Southern. I use it all the time. Or done deal. Like somebody asks you to do something or asks you to check into something, done deal. I say that a lot too. What fast food restaurant has the best sweet tea? I don't know, man. I don't eat a lot of fast food sweet tea around. I guess I do. There's a place called McAllister's. It's not really fast food though. There's no drive-through. I mean, it's quick. It's like a sandwich place that's got real good sweet tea. Sweet tea sucks. Ugh, man, it must suck to be you. It must suck to be you. We got those over here in Charlotte. Yeah. Yeah, they got good mashed potatoes and gravy. They got good mac and cheese there, and their sandwiches are good. I might ask Ashley if she wants to fucking roll over to McAllister's with me today. Dude, talking about that BLTA briefly earlier has got my stomach going. You know what, dude? A BLTA sounds pretty good right now. Little side cup of mashed potatoes and a BLTA. Fuck yeah. I'll take it. Like sweet tea with only a hint of sugar. I mean, it is possible to over sweeten tea. I like it sweet, but not too sweet, you know what I mean? What does the A stand for? Avocado, my friend. Bacon, lettuce, tomato, avocado. I like po' boys best, but I'm from Texas. Well, yeah, po' boys are great. I wish that Radostas was closer to me. I wish I didn't have to go all the way to fucking New Orleans to get it. I'd be there today. Only had KFC, Bojangles, and McDonald's sweet tea. It's all about the same to me. I don't think I've had any of those. I don't go to KFC ever. I've never been to a Bojangles, and I've never gotten a sweet tea at McDonald's. So if you're ever in the Carolinas, you should stop by Bojangles for their chicken, biscuits, and sweet tea. I'll try it. There might be one around here. I don't know. Ever had a real-life encounter with a stereotypical SJW? Not really, like, a memorable direct encounter. I do remember the last time I went back to school, which was a number of years ago now, 5 years or so. I remember being kind of flabbergasted seeing these flyers up all over campus for safe spaces. And, like, the flyer had like the location of the safe space and then a bunch of rules for what you were allowed to say and do within that safe space. That to me, especially at the time, was like, what? I remember I had a teacher. It was like an entry-level American history course. And the teacher was a big SJW. And I remember he asked, we were talking about the Indians, and he was going into how some Indian tribes in the Americas prior to, European expansionism had social rules for a third gender. I can't remember what it was called now, but it was for people who were in between genders, basically an intergender role. They had their own name for it. Men or biological men that were more attuned to like a female lifestyle, trans, as we would say today, were given jobs in the tribe and not shamed for it. That were more akin to what a woman would be doing in the tribe, rearing the children, preparing the food, cleaning, and all of that stuff. So he was talking about that, and I remember he asked a question. It was only because of my time, prior to this, reading about the SJW position that I was able to blow his mind and answer the question. But he said, now I'm going to ask you a question that none of you can answer. What's the difference between sex and gender? It's a simple fucking answer to a question, but it's such a lockstep part of the SJW mindset that I immediately just went like, sex is what kind of junk you've got between your legs, and gender is what you feel like you are. And he was like, wow, okay, that's the first time doing this that somebody's got that right. Okay, all right. It's like, oh, okay. I was the oldest person in that room by a fucking wide margin. Probably by at least 10 years. Yeah, I got some brownie points in that class. Safe space at my college is called the Equity Room. Sounds like a shitty bar. Sounds like a boring bar. Y'all want to go down and get a drink at the Equity Room? Nah, that place is stuffy. Let's go over to Bob's Booty Shaker. Oh yeah, Bob's Booty Shaker. That sounds like a place I want to be. Fuck the Equity Room. I like Bojangles Country Ham Biscuit. Get out of here with Bojangles. I don't even know if Bojangles is around here, man. You ain't helping me. Any good food in walking distance to you, or is Louisiana all driving? It's pretty much all driving. I could walk down to a place, there's a really good like Thai restaurant that's in walking distance from me, but that's pretty rare. Typically, if you're living somewhere in Louisiana, I can only speak for this side of the lake too. It might be a little different in New Orleans. There might be some neighborhoods where there's some good walking distance stuff, but around here, you don't got a car, you're in trouble. Yeah, I know I have Popeyes around me. No Bojangles in Louisiana? Damn, that sucks. Louisiana has a Thai restaurant. Who would have thunk? You really think that like certain types of like really popular food just don't exist in major metropolitan areas? You can get any kind of food that you want in any major city in this country. It doesn't mean it'll be good or authentic or something that you'll want to come back and get again, but yeah, Asians are everywhere. And people that like Asian food are everywhere, so. I love Indian food. Not all of it, but I really love their like the more vegetarian stuff in Indian food, like vegetable curries and biryanis and stuff like that. People think that Louisiana is all swamps and all we do is ride alligators. We don't have roads or cities. Well, some of that is almost true. We basically almost don't have roads. But other than that, yeah, misconceptions. I don't know if you can call most of what passes for roads around here genuine roads. They are a snafu nightmare of potholes and really fucking horribly designed traffic interchanges. They're doing a lot of work right now right outside of like where I have to exit out of my neighborhood onto the main thoroughfare, and it is fucked. They've got all these weird turnaround lanes that don't make sense. People are abusing them. They're flipping U's and left turn only lanes. They're all confused. It's like they've tried to fix shit up, but they've just made it worse. And that's pretty much par for the course around here as far as I can tell. I've been here 3 years and I've yet to see a fucking public works project that didn't make things worse. So maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe when they finish this up over here, it'll be fine, but it's a nightmare right now. It's fucking crazy. I'm thinking of moving to Louisiana. I'm starting to think the other side of the lake would be better. Maybe. I don't know. Like the roads in New Orleans that I have, I've been to New Orleans a bunch of times, obviously, spent a bunch of time there, and the roads are no better, like over on that side of the lake. So I don't think it's a side of the lake thing. I mean, honestly, what it is, if you want my opinion, and look, dude, the people that live around here have the right to decide what's important to them, and around here, shit like bike lanes, sidewalks, well-designed roads, that means less than a little extra money in your pocket. People aren't willing to, jump out with their tax dollars and go like, hey, let's fix this road for everybody. So they just go dilapidated. And when money does come available, it's a half measure. They throw some turn lane that everybody abuses in, or actually end up fucking up the traffic because they just don't have the tax base to actually get it done properly. And to a certain extent, that doesn't jibe with what I would want, but I mean, fuck it. Like I said, these people have the right to have shitty roads if that's what they prefer. You know what I mean? What state would you live in if you had I don't know that there's a perfect state, man. I don't know that I have like an answer to that. I'll live wherever I can continue to grow my business. How's that? I can make a home in any state. The highways are okay. Yeah, somebody just said they're a trucker and they've never had an over-the-top thing with the highways and stuff here I can't really complain about, but that's pretty true throughout the United States. I mean, we've got a semi-decent interstate system here. So once you're out off of the surface streets in Louisiana and you're onto the freeways and shit, I mean, there's some, bass backwards stuff you'll run into, but for the most part, you get where you're going. I'm talking about like the driving to get there, the neighborhood style driving, the city type driving that you do on the surface streets here. That's the nightmare. I mean, yeah, you get off on the main, interstates and stuff, you're fine. If you're just pulling through Louisiana, you'd probably be okay. You might run into some shit that makes you scratch your head, but overall, it's not a whole lot different in that way from a lot of the other states I've been in and driven through and stuff. It's really living here and having to navigate the surface streets that'll let you in on the traffic problem that Louisiana has, or at least this area of Louisiana has. Do Southerners yell about how Popeyes isn't real Cajun food like Latino? No. Southerners, they just know what good food is. You see, that's the difference. Like, around here, there's a big food culture, but it's not evangelical in the way that a lot of other food cultures are. You don't really run into people going, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. It's like everybody just kind of knows where the good food is and goes there, Yeah, Popeyes is fast food. People will eat it. I mean, there might be some food snobs around here, but it pretty much seems like people just congregate at the good places to eat. Like yesterday, I was at one of my favorite little breakfast joints to eat at. I guess now it's a lunch joint too. It's called Liz's Where You At Diner. And they specialize in like eggs Benedict and biscuits and gravy and stuff like hearty rib sticking southern type of food. And that place is always packed out. They're only open for like 4 or 5 hours a day, early in the morning till the afternoon, and then they shut up shop. And I've never been over there and had it not had, at least 90% capacity seating. There's asses in pretty much every seat. And there's a reason for that, And you don't get evangelized much about it. If you ask somebody, hey, where's a good breakfast joint? They might say Liz's, but they're not going to be like constantly trying to get you to go there. You know what I mean? If you ain't smart enough to follow your nose to the good food around here, there's not a whole lot of people that are going to help you. But luckily, it ain't hard to find the good food around here, and that's kind of the point. You ever reluctant to be a consumer? What would be the point of being reluctant to be a consumer when you live in a consumerist culture? Is it what I would choose for myself? Probably not, but fuck, sitting around and feeling guilty for being another consumer. It's like, what choice do I have? live under a bridge somewhere, even they are consumers. You can't escape it, so what's the point of, flogging yourself over it? I love Mexican food in California and Texas. Hole in the wall restaurants, the best Mexican food other than going to Mexico. You damn right. A lot of people don't really know that California. Now there's a stark difference between Texas Mexican food and California Mexican food. California Mexican food is more like Jalisco, I think that's what they call it, style cooking. And Mexican food has its own little flavor of like Tex-Mex thrown in there. They're both really good. I prefer what I grew up around. Uh, Colorado, New Mexico have great Mexican too. I mean, look, dude. Here's the thing. As it turns out, Mexican food culture has seeped into pretty much every state. Now, there are probably some places where you'd be hard pressed to find a good, authentic Mexican restaurant, but this idea that they're all concentrated in one area of the world or something is just, it's a little outdated. Um, that style of cooking is so popular in America now that you can find it almost anywhere. I'm sure Chicago does have great Mexican food. Any major population center with any representation of culturally Hispanic people in it is going to have the flavor of those countries in it. I mean, not to go too far afield here, but we're talking about New Orleans cuisine, and the reason New Orleans cuisine is so world renowned is because it is such a mishmash of other cultural foods. You got French, you got Indian, you got traditional black cooking, you've got Mexican, you've got general Latin American, you've got all of these types of styles of food have all come together in the great big melting pot that is Louisiana cuisine. So that's one of the reasons why Louisiana is always associated with great food, is because there's so much that goes into not only the specific regional cooking style that's evident here, but just the choice that you have of really, good other types of food. Is there anywhere in the U.S. you would like to see before its inevitable collapse? Wow. I don't know, man. There are places in the United States that I'd still like to go and check out. Like, I lived in Arizona for a number of years, but I never made it to the Grand Canyon, so I've never seen that. I'd also like to see Meteor Crater there in Arizona. Those were both two things that I was always trying to get the money together and get the time together to go on like a little road trip with my friends and maybe camp overnight and go see those things, but it just never happened. So I'd like to see those. I'd like to go to Niagara Falls someday. I'd like to go to Yellowstone National Park. A lot of the wilderness areas of the United States that are rapidly shrinking and disappearing, I'd like to see. Arizona's fucking beautiful. See, I'm a fan of pretty much any type of biome that exists on this planet. The desert for some people is just a empty ugliness, but for me, having lived around some of the most beautiful and expansive desert that exists on the continent, I couldn't disagree more. The desert is fucking beautiful. Always. But then again, so is the swamp and the forest and the seashore. California is one of the most diverse places that you can live in the country, and that's probably what colors my appreciation for all the different types of environments that exist. In California, you've got deserts, you've got prairies, you've got dense deciduous forests, you've got mountains, you've got oceans, you've got islands. You've got more tropical type of environments. You've got it all. I mean, there's really only a couple of very specific, types of biomes that you don't find in California. Washington has a rainforest, yes. There's actually parts of that same forest extend down into California, and it is technically a rainforest there as well. A Scottish biome. Oh, aye. You'll never find that in California, laddie. Okay. High desert in Oregon is so heavy and underrated. Oh, dude. The high desert in California is beautiful, too. There's a desert that's out kind of the east and south of Louisiana, or not, sorry, not Louisiana, Los Angeles. The Tehachapi Desert that's kind of up in the mountains there, and it's so beautiful there. It's so wonderful. It's so great to drive up that pass in the mountains, the Tehachapi Pass there, and to come out into the high desert. It's just a beautiful drive. If you ever get the chance to make that drive, if you're a lover of scenery like me, and you've never had the chance to make that jaunt up the Tehachapi Pass and into the high desert in California, I really recommend it. One of the most beautiful drives you'll ever make. Oh yeah, the high deserts are freezing at night, like a different kind of cold, man. Long drive though, yeah. I suppose so. I go look for mushrooms in the Capitol Forest. Maybe you want some? Sure. Send them on down. High desert in Central Oregon is the best. Okay. Worked at the Old Faithful Inn in Yellowstone National Park. It's beautiful, but behind the scenes, like a high school of adults living on a super volcano together in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's just a place that I've always wanted to see. I want to go see Old Faithful, go see all the geysers and the weird, like volcanic activity, the caldera activity that goes on there, and just the natural beauty of that place I want to see. One of my favorite places that I've ever been is the Redwood National Forest in California, which is another place that if you ever get the chance to go, I really recommend it. It's absolutely humbling being in the presence of such huge living things. If you've never actually stood at the base of a really, really ancient giant redwood and looked up and pondered the absolutely unfathomable size of these organisms, then you're really missing out on a check and a balance against your own hubris. You know what I mean? Seeing something like that really puts your position in the world in sharp relief. You know. I mean, a lot of these trees were witness to everything that's ever happened with regards to humans on this continent. They've lived through every tragedy that we've ever fucking met, every social change that's ever happened. They've stood there through it all. Every environmental change that's happened, every technological change that's happened in the history of humanity, they've been standing there through it, growing, getting bigger. It's insane. It's really insane. Well, he might have a bigger brain than all the redwoods. He might be right about that. They don't got brains. A bigger brain. I've got a good brain. Have you ever considered maybe your back pain is related to your fatness? Yes. Yes, I have. Have you ever considered that making alts to troll with stupid comments is a giant waste of your fucking life, and that someday when you're laying on your deathbed looking back at the time that you spent, that you're gonna fucking pray to whatever God that you believe in that you could have that time back, all that time you spent being a stupid add nothing dumbass. If you could have just one of those minutes back, you'd fucking die for it. And I'm telling you what, man, no matter when I croak, knowing that there's about 15, 20, 30 of you fucking fucks out there that are going to feel that when you die, man, that's part of the juice that keeps me going. It's part of the gasoline that I pour in my tank every day, knowing that stupid asses like you are one day going to come to regret all the time that you wasted. TLDR, go fuck yourself. I'm fully a fan of yours now. Just subscribed. Hey! Cool beans. Hey, everybody welcome Allie. The newest Tismite. The newest Highdeologite. Paul, my dog died yesterday. I'm sorry to hear that, bro. And now you made it worth their time. That's what you think. I made it worth my time. I made their stupidity worth my time. That's the change. That's the difference in perspective between you and me, Finn. See, you look at you look at trolling from the myopic perspective of any attention you give to that troll is a win for that troll. And I look at from the perspective of trolls are there to be responded to, and how you respond to them dictates whether or not their troll was successful or not. That guy got a mouthful of my balls and banned. Who came out on top of that fucking situation, in your estimation? You ever use Uber Eats? Not around here. I don't use Uber Eats. Every once in a while we use Waiter around here, which I guess is a similar program. There are some places around here that, like there's a pizza joint that I get pizza from, Johnny's or whatever, and they don't even do, like, you can't even call them anymore. You know what I mean? You can't, like, if you call them on the phone, they go like, Johnny's Pizza, and you're like, yeah, can I get a pepper on there? You have to do that through Waiter. You're like, oh, okay. So yeah, we use Waiter every once in a while to get a pizza or something, but Uber is not a big thing around here yet. You can get an Uber every once in a while, but not a whole lot. It's hard to find one. It hasn't really taken root in this area, so to speak. I have a feeling it will. Like I said, it's definitely here. You can get an Uber if you really need one, but it's not like it was like in the Pacific Northwest. Uber was like a lifesaver for me because it was so, the place that we lived was like a hub for Uber drivers. So anytime I started an Uber ride, you know, like I need a ride from here to here, pick me up here, boom, go. Like 3 seconds later, you know, your ride has been accepted. Go meet your driver, you know. And like down here, I took an Uber once. I needed to get to the DMV. Ashley was working or something. I had her drop me off at the DMV, and then I took an Uber back. And it took me like 30 minutes to get an Uber, to even get the ride accepted. Probably another 15 minutes for the driver to get to the DMV to pick me up and take me home. It just ain't worth it. Not yet around here anyway. Why are you so uninterested in the NASA announcement? You were like, yeah, great. Why so? I just don't care. Us going to the moon is not exciting to me. I'm sorry. I don't care. It's not a sign that we're allocating funds in the right direction. Another visit to the fucking moon is about as necessary right now as, you know, hiring an astronaut to go dive around in White Precious's ass or some shit. I just don't care. What about going to Mars? I'd be a little more interested if we were sending somebody to Mars. Like a manned mission to Mars would be a little more interesting to me than, hey, like I'm supposed to be excited about that? Sorry. We done did that. Like NASA can't hope to just constantly recapture the magic of the first moon landing by continuously going back there. I'm sorry. It's just not the same anymore. Been there, done that. What grows faster, your mustache or your beard hair? I don't know. Probably my beard hair, I would guess. Can we get the homeless fed first? Fix Flint's water issue. Pour the trillions of dollars that we flush down the sand toilet in the Middle East into actually trying to halt the damage that we're doing to the environment. Yeah, any number of things would excite me way more than, hey, NASA's gonna put somebody on the moon again. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, you know, you'd pique my curiosity if they said, hey, we're about to launch a dude to Mars, the first you know set of human feet on an actual exoplanet, not an exoplanet, but an actual planet other than Earth. That would be big news. That's something that implies a sense of progress. Going back and doing over something that we did a bunch of times in the 60s and the 70s is just not, sorry. I don't care. Paul, they said they were going to stay on the moon and then do launches from the moon further. They mentioned going to Mars from the moon. I tell you what, if that actually happens, I'll eat my fucking shoe. We are so far from an actual usable launch base on the moon that I don't even know how to tell it to you, bro. A permanent presence on the moon, that would be interesting. That ain't gonna happen. You know what's gonna happen? NASA's gonna go there, they're gonna bring back some rocks, they're gonna show us some imagery from the astronauts, and we've got all that. There's absolutely no way that we're building a base on that fucking moon right now. No way. Yeah, Mars is not on the fucking docket, guys. I'm sorry to tell you. We're about 20 or 30 years too young to even be talking about Mars right now, and that's assuming the bottom doesn't fall out of the whole fucking thing before we get there. That's assuming we're still a species that can muster the engineering prowess to put a fucking rocket up in the air by the time we're ready. We missed it, guys. This ain't the Mars generation. I'm sorry. We saw Paul's bottom fall out the other day. That's true. You guys did get a little crack from me the other day, too.